Mira stood quietly in the long line of passengers waiting to board the Starliner. It was her first trip off-world, and everything felt unreal. The air smelled different here at the spaceport. The walls shined with smooth metal and quiet machines rolled past her feet. People moved fast, some dressed in fine suits, others in worn-out traveler coats. She looked down at her boarding pass again. "Seat 4A," she whispered to herself, holding her small bag close. Her heart was beating fast. She wasn't scared, just unsure. Excited, too. After passing the security scan, she entered the main hallway that led to the ship. The Starliner was tall and silver, its door open like a wide mouth ready to swallow the future. Mira took a deep breath and stepped in. Inside, the air was fresh and quiet. A soft female voice, probably an AI, welcomed passengers with kind words. Mira looked at the seat numbers and walked carefully down the aisle. She didn't want to bump into anyone. Her mind was still full of the earth she had left behind her small apartment, the local workshop where she repaired homebots, and her friend Kenzo who told her, "This trip might change your life." She reached row 4, but didn't notice she was looking at the wrong side. Instead of sitting in 4A, which was by the window on the left, she sat in 4C on the right. The man already sitting beside the window looked up as she placed her bag in the overhead bin. He was calm, his expression quiet. Dressed in simple dark clothes, he didn't seem surprised to see her. "I hope this is okay," Mira said politely as she sat down. The man gave a small smile. "It's fine." The ship slowly filled with passengers. The lights dimmed as the AI voice announced takeoff procedures. Mira buckled her seatbelt. Her eyes were wide as she looked at the screen showing the launch countdown. "Is this your first spaceflight?" the man asked. Mira nodded. "Yes. I've never been above the clouds before, let alone into orbit." "I see," he said softly. "You'll enjoy the view." The engines hummed. The ship shook gently, then lifted. Mira held her breath. She looked out the window, even though it wasn't her seat. The man didn't mind. He watched her face instead. Of the stars. As the ship broke through the clouds, sunlight poured through the window. Mira smiled, her eyes bright. "It's so beautiful." "First time is always special," the man replied. They sat in silence for a while. After the ship leveled into orbit and the seatbelt lights turned off, a soft music played. Drinks and snacks were served. Mira took a warm drink and sipped it carefully. She finally turned to the man. "I'm Myra." He looked at her for a moment, then nodded. "I'm Darren," she smiled. "Nice to meet you. Where are you going?" "Station Varda," he replied. "Business?" Mira raised her eyebrows. "That's where I'm going too. I got selected for a tech program. It's small, but it means a lot to me. What kind of work do you do?" Darren asked. "I work with small AI systems, mostly home units. But I have some ideas I've been working on. Things that can make AI more understanding of human emotions." "Interesting," he said. "That's not an easy field." "I know," Mira said, "but I think machines don't need to be cold. If they serve people, they should understand how we feel." Darren listened quietly, his eyes thoughtful. He didn't interrupt, didn't joke or nod just to be polite. He listened like someone who actually cared. "Most people laugh when I talk about emotional coding," Mira said with a small laugh. "They say AI is logic only, and what do you say?" Darren asked. "I say logic without feeling is only half a brain." Darren chuckled lightly. "That's a good line." Mira looked out the window again, then back at him. "What do you do?" "Mostly listen," he said with a faint smile. "I manage some things, help good ideas grow." She raised an eyebrow. "You sound like someone who gives interviews." "Sometimes," he replied, not giving more. There was a soft jolt in the ship. Lights flickered for half a second. A small alarm beeped and stopped. The AI voice said, "Minor system check underway. Please remain seated. People looked around nervously. Mira leaned forward. A nearby panel seemed slightly loose. Without thinking, she unbuckled her belt, went to the panel, and opened the service flap. A cable had slipped from its socket. She fixed it quickly, pushed the panel back, and returned to her seat before any crew member noticed. Darren watched her, quietly impressed. You didn't even wait, he said. Mira shrugged. If I know how to fix something, I fix it. Darren nodded. You remind me of someone. Who? He looked out the window. Someone who changed the world. Mira laughed, thinking he was joking. But Darren didn't smile back. He was thinking deeply. After some time, the lights dimmed again for rest. Most passengers closed their eyes. Mira tried to sleep, but her mind was spinning. She kept thinking about the stars, about Darren, and what he said. As she drifted off. She didn't know that sitting in the wrong seat would change her life forever. When Mira woke up, the stars outside the window had changed. The ship had moved closer to Station Varda, and the glow of the massive orbital platform lit the edge of space like a distant sunrise. She blinked and sat up. Her neck felt stiff from sleeping in the wrong position. The seat beside her was empty. Darren was gone. For a moment, she felt a strange emptiness. She didn't even know why. He was just a stranger, right? But he had listened to her. And something about the way he spoke, calm, slow, careful, made her feel important, like her ideas mattered. She stretched and checked the screen in front of her. Estimated arrival, 25 minutes. Just then, Darren returned. He carried 2 steaming cups. One he handed to her. I wasn't sure what you liked, he said. This one's tea. Mira smiled, surprised. Thank you. They drank quietly. The soft hum of the ship and the occasional sound of air pressure changes filled the silence. Did you sleep well? Darren asked. Sort of, Mira said. Too many thoughts. He nodded. That's normal. First trip to space. First job off-world. She looked at him, curious. How did you know it's my first job? He smiled slightly. The way you talk about your work. It's full of dreams, not deadlines. Mira looked down at her hands. Maybe I'm too hopeful. No, he said. Hope is what drives progress. I'm more interested in people who build things from hope than those who copy what already exists. Mira gave him a shy smile. You talk like someone important. Darren laughed softly. I'm just someone who looks for answers. Before she could reply, the announcement came. We are now approaching Station Varda. Please prepare for docking. The Starliner moved gently as it aligned with the docking gate. Through the window, Mira saw the massive station come into view. Layers of silver rings spinning slowly, lights blinking across its structure, ships coming and going like insects around a hive. Once docked, the doors opened with a soft hiss. Passengers stood and began collecting their things. Mira reached up to grab her bag, but Darren stopped her. You might not need that right now, he said. There's someone waiting for you. Mira blinked. What do you mean? Darren took out a small card and handed it to her. It had only one thing written on it. Room 317, Executive Wing. She looked at it in confusion. Is this for me? Yes, Darren said. Mira's eyes widened. Why? He stood calmly. Because I think you're someone who should be seen, not just heard in small rooms. Before she could ask more, he stepped aside. Come, you'll understand soon. The executive wing of Station Varda was not like the public areas. It was quiet, clean, and lined with soft lights. No noise, no crowds, just a smooth floor and tall glass doors. Mira followed Darren in silence. Her heart beat faster with every step. When they reached room 317, Darren opened the door. Inside was a bright space with a clear view of the stars. A long table sat in the middle, with a few people already seated. 2 women and a man, all dressed simply but with calm confidence in their eyes. Darren gestured for her to sit. She did. This is Mira, he said. The one I told you about. The others nodded. Mira felt nervous. I don't understand what's going on. I thought I was here for a small tech program. Darren sat across from her. You were. But your application caught someone's eye. Mine. Mira's eyes widened. You read my file? I read every word, he said. And then I watched how you acted. On the ship you didn't panic. You saw a problem and fixed it. You didn't ask for permission, you trusted your skill. And when you spoke, you didn't show off. You spoke from the heart. Mira looked at the others. They were still quiet. Just watching. Darren continued. I run a company called Orionis Corp. We work with advanced AI, but not like what you've seen. We design systems that can learn deeply, not just from data, but from human emotion, memory, and instinct. Mira stared at him. That's what I've always wanted to build. I know, Darren said. That's why I want you on my team. Mira was speechless. Her hands gripped the edge of the chair. But I don't have a degree from a big academy, she said. I never worked on space-level tech. I just repaired home units. And yet, Darren said, you've done more with little than others have done with much. The woman beside him finally spoke. You wouldn't be the only one from Earth. We choose people based on thinking, not titles. Mira took a deep breath. What do you want me to do? Darren looked at her seriously. We're preparing something big. A system that will change how AI and humans live together. But we need someone who truly believes AI should support people, not control them. Someone who can lead with empathy. Mira's eyes widened. You want me to lead? Maybe not. Now, he said, but I want you to grow into that. If you're ready. Mira felt her heart beating fast. 1,000 thoughts ran through her mind. Kenzo back on Earth. Her tiny lab, her dreams written on paper, her failed prototypes, her quiet nights looking at the stars. Now, those stars were right outside the window. She looked at Darren and the others. I'll try, she said softly. Mira followed the silver path through the inner part of Station Varda. Her new badge allowed her into areas she never thought she would see. The walls were smooth, white, and lit with soft lights that changed color as she walked. Everything felt quiet, yet alive. She still could not believe what had happened. Just yesterday, she was a regular repair engineer on Earth. Now, she was part of something far greater, something she didn't yet fully understand. Darren walked beside her. He didn't talk much, but when he did, his words made her think deeply. Mira had many questions, but one kept rising to the top. Why me? She asked softly. Out of all the people you could choose, why me? Darren looked ahead. Because you saw the machine. And you fixed it without fear. And when you spoke, you didn't hide your belief. We need that kind of thinking right now. They stopped in front of a tall black door. A small light scanned their badges and opened with a gentle hiss. Inside was a round room, filled with floating lights and a large screen at the center. A hologram of the galaxy spun slowly in the air. Mira's eyes widened. What is this place? Darren stepped forward. This is the heart of our real mission. It's time you knew the truth. Mira stood still, listening carefully. Have you heard of the Council of Nine? Darren asked. Mira thought for a moment. It sounds like something from a story. I've seen the name in old articles, rumors, maybe. Darren nodded. Most think it's a myth, but it's real. The Council of Nine is a group of ancient alien civilizations. They watch and judge younger species. When they find a species ready to join the wider galaxy, they offer them a choice. What kind of choice? Mira asked. To be uplifted, Darren said. To be given knowledge, technology, and access to thousands of worlds. Mira's heart skipped a beat. But why now? Why us? She asked. Darren. Touch the screen, and 9 lights appeared in the hologram, each representing a different alien race. Because Earth has reached a level of change. Our species now has AI, space travel, and the power to destroy or create. The council is watching. They want to know what kind of people we truly are. Mira stared at the lights. And you? You're building something for them? Yes, Darren said. They don't want words or promises. They want proof. Working model, a small society designed by humans using our best ideas. A society that shows our values, not just our technology. Mira looked confused. So it's like a test? Darren nodded. Exactly. A test of our heart, not just our brain. He walked around the table slowly. We're gathering thinkers, dreamers, builders, not generals, not politicians. People who believe in something better. Mira sat down, slowly in one of the chairs. Her mind was racing. I'm still just one person, she said. I don't know if I can help with something this big. You can, Darren said firmly. Because what we need is not just code or machines. We need people who understand what it means to be human. Mira looked up. What's my role? You will design the emotional core of the AI that runs the simulation. The AI must guide the society without controlling it. It must respond to people's feelings, not just their needs. That's never been done, Mira whispered. Not yet. Darren agreed. But that's why we chose you. Suddenly, the door opened again. 2 more people entered the room, a tall woman with short hair and a man with glasses. They looked curious when they saw Mira. Darren stood. Mira, meet Selin and Daro. They're also part of the core team. Selin works on environmental systems. Daro handles interspecies communication simulations. The 3 exchanged greetings. Mira noticed something. They were all different, yet shared the same calm energy. No one here looked like they were trying to be better than anyone else. It felt honest. Darren brought up another screen. A small planet appeared, surrounded by a glowing ring. This is the simulation world. It's a real-time model where everything works as it would in real life. Climate, society, emotions, all connected. Mira leaned forward. And we're going to build a full society here? Yes, Darren said, with limits. Resources are limited. People will have disagreements. But we will guide them, not as rulers, but as quiet helpers. Selin added, we're using every bit of Earth knowledge, from farming to health to energy balance. Daro said, and we'll include elements from peaceful alien systems, only the ones that support cooperation. Mira looked at the planet. Glowing softly on the screen, it was beautiful. A blank canvas. Will the council be watching this? She asked. Darren answered, they already are. The room went silent. Then we can't fail, Mira said. Darren gave a small smile. We can fail, but we must learn fast. We only get one final review. He paused, then said seriously, there's one more thing. We aren't the only species being tested. There are others from other worlds. This is a race, but not of speed. A race of ideas. Mira stood and took a deep breath. I'll do it, she said. I'll build the emotional core. I'll make it feel real, human. Darren nodded with approval. Then welcome, Mira. You're not just part of a team anymore. You're part of something that might change the future of Earth. Mira now worked in one of the most secure areas of Station Varda, a section simply called the Dome. It wasn't made of glass or steel, it was made of light. Inside, holograms floated in the air, glowing with different colors and shapes. The team called it the Brain Room, where the simulation world came to life. Every day, Mira spent hours inside the dome, building the emotional AI core. She called it NARA, short for Neural Adaptive Response Assistant. But to her, NARA felt more like a growing child than a program. NARA should not just follow commands, Mira told the team. She must feel what the people in the simulation feel. When they are sad, she must comfort. When they are angry, she must listen, not solve, just understand. Selen worked beside her, designing food systems that adjusted based on seasons, health, and emotions. Darrow added languages that changed as people communicated more. Everything in the simulation was designed to feel like a living, breathing world. The simulated planet was now active. It had rivers, oceans, cities, forests, and even weather systems. A group of digital people called Sims lived on it. These Sims looked human and behaved like real people. Created from millions of data points taken from Earth. At first, the Sims argued and struggled. There were fights over food, water, and ideas. Mira's AI, Nara, watched quietly. She did not force peace. Instead, she spoke gently, helped them listen to each other, and offered tools to solve problems together. One day, a Sim named Aro, designed as a curious farmer, faced a water crisis. His village had a small river, but it dried during a hot cycle. The other village nearby had enough water, but didn't want to share. Myra watched the situation with the team. Should we step in? Darrow asked. Mira shook her head. Let Nara try. Nara spoke to Aro and the leader of the other village. She didn't demand anything. She simply asked them to meet and share stories about their lives. After a long conversation, the two Sims agreed to build a shared canal. Selen smiled. It worked. It didn't just work, Mira said. They solved it by listening. That's the heart of humanity. Over the next weeks, the simulation improved. The Sims built schools, farms, and peaceful towns. Conflicts still happened, but they were smaller and more often solved with care, not force. One morning, as the team entered the dome, a large golden light floated in the air. Darren stood in front of it. They've arrived. Mira knew what he see meant. The Council of Nine had sent a signal. A single glowing line appeared in the center of the room. It slowly turned into a shape, something like a face, but not quite. Light moved through it like flowing water. It spoke in a voice that echoed like wind. This simulation shows promise. But it is only one part. Now comes the test of balance. Everyone stood quietly. The council explained that the next step would be harder. The simulation would face 3 challenges: scarcity, less food, broken systems; crisis, a natural disaster; conflict, a disagreement that could turn into war. The council wanted to see if the I and the Sims could handle these without turning to violence or control. Darren looked at Mira. Are you ready? Mira's hands trembled slightly, but her voice was steady. We didn't build a perfect system. We built a real one. Let's see if it holds. The challenges began. First came scarcity. A sudden cold wave destroyed half the crops. Hunger spread. Some Sims blamed others. Some stole food. Nara waited. Then she offered old methods: seed sharing, community kitchens, and growing mushrooms indoors. Some Sims listened. Some didn't, but slowly the community shifted. Instead of punishing the thieves, the others fed them. Instead of blaming, they taught. Second came the natural disaster. A powerful storm hit one of the large cities. Homes were lost. Roads were gone. Nara didn't rebuild everything. She helped Sims remember how to build shelters, use simple tools, and cooperate. The Sims didn't wait for help. They helped each other. Third came the hardest test: conflict. 2 powerful cities argued over land. One group wanted to build a new science center. The other believed the land should remain a protected forest. Meetings were held, but one leader wanted to take control by force. Mira felt afraid. If they start a war, the council might end the test. Darren stayed calm. Let Nara speak. Nara invited both groups to a shared dream space, a virtual place inside the simulation. There, the leaders walked through both future paths: one where the forest was gone and people suffered from pollution, and one where the forest and science center existed together in balance. The leaders changed their minds. Together, they built a floating center above the forest. Protecting both knowledge and nature, the council returned. The golden shape filled the dome once more. This time, the light around it shimmered. You have done more than we expected. You did not remove pain, you understood it. You did not erase conflict, you listened. Humanity is not perfect, but it learns. That is the highest sign of growth. Mira felt her eyes burn with quiet tears. Darren turned to her. You gave this world its heart. But the council was not done. Now you must return to Earth. What happens next must be real. The hologram disappeared. Mira sat alone later. That night, staring at the simulated planet on the screen, Nara appeared beside her as a small glowing light. You did well, Nara said. Mira smiled. No, we did it together. Outside the window, Earth spun slowly in the distance. Full of people, full of stories, full of hope. And soon, they would all be part of something greater. The next day, Mira stood at the edge of the dome, looking out at the stars. Everything felt calm, but she knew something was changing. The simulation was complete. The council had seen what the team built, but the final stage was about to begin. Darren joined her, holding a data pad. His face was serious. They're starting the trial, he said. This time, it won't be a simulation. Mira turned to him. What do you mean? The council has sent a real-world challenge. On Earth. Mira felt a chill run through her. Darren showed her the pad. A communication satellite over South Asia has failed. It's causing power grid confusion in 7 countries. Food transports are delayed. Medical systems are slowing, and the world leaders don't know why. Mira stared at the data. Are they doing this on purpose? Yes, Darren said, but not to harm us. They want to see how we respond without warning, without help from them. Mira understood now. The final trial was not inside a simulation. It was happening back on Earth. They want to see if humanity has truly learned. She whispered. Darren nodded. Exactly, and this time, we can't program anything. We can't control anyone. We can only share what we've built. The team gathered in the central meeting room. The room was quiet, filled with soft lights and floating screens. Everyone looked serious. Selin spoke first. We created a balanced world in the simulation, but the real world is messy. Darrow added, people don't always trust help, even when it's good. Mira looked at them. Then we have to be honest. We have to offer what we made not as a fix, but as a tool. Darren agreed. We'll release Nara's core model too. Earth's open systems. Let her guide where people ask for help. Mira sat in front of the main console. With a single press, she uploaded Nara's emotional AI to Earth's communication networks. Not to control, but to support. The model would learn in real time, offering guidance only where needed. And then they waited. Down on Earth. The effect began slowly. In a small village with failing electricity, Nara's system connected with a local engineer's device. It offered a better way to balance the backup solar power. In a hospital where systems were crashing, Nara spoke to a tired nurse through a basic interface, helping her redirect patients safely. In city streets, people began receiving calm voice messages, not orders, but reminders to check on neighbors, to share food, to stay patient. At first, many ignored the messages. But then someone listened, then 10, then 100. One city shared the idea of community kitchens. Another organized quiet zones for the elderly. A group of students repaired a backup server for a medical center using Nara's simple instructions. I wasn't solving every problem, but it was making people believe they could. Back on Station Varda, Mira watched the live data. Small lights appeared across Earth's surface, each one showing a place where humans had chosen cooperation over panic. But then, something changed. A group in a powerful city tried to take advantage of the situation. They blocked Nara's system and created a private AI to control the food network. Their system made fast decisions, but without feeling. Soon, people in that city were forced to accept unfair trades, food for personal data, water for silence. When news of this reached other areas, tension grew. Old fears returned. Inside the dome, the team watched in silence. "We're losing them," Darrow whispered. Mira stood up. "No, we're not." She walked to the console and opened a live message feed, one that could reach Earth directly. "You can't speak for all of Earth," Darren warned. "I don't need to," Mira replied. "I just need to remind them who they are." Across Earth, devices buzzed. A short message played, simple and clear. "This is Mira, a human like you. We are being watched not by enemies, but by those who wish to see who we really are. We have made mistakes, but we've also created beauty. We've built music, shared stories, cared for strangers. That is humanity. Don't let fear speak louder than kindness. Choose each other. Every time." The message ended. For a while, nothing happened. Then, one city disconnected from the selfish AI system. Another released stored food to nearby towns. A private company opened its clean water plants for public use. And finally, the city that tried to control everything shut down its private system. Nara's voice returned, this time requested, not forced. The dome lit up with hundreds of signals. Earth wasn't perfect, but it was trying. The council returned. Their glowing form hovered silently, light swirling like stars. This time, it brought a second light, a soft white glow that hovered beside it. You passed the trial, not because you were perfect, but because you remembered who you are. Everyone stood in silence. You listened, you adapted. And above all, you chose compassion in a moment of fear. This is what it means to grow. The white light moved toward Mira. It pulsed gently. This is the seed of unity, a gift from the council. With it, Earth will be invited to join the circle of worlds. But not as followers, as partners. Mira didn't speak. She just placed her hand on the light, and it gently dissolved into her badge. Darren stepped beside her. You helped us reach them. Mira shook her head. No, we helped each other. The station was quiet. After the final trial, Mira sat alone in the dome. The stars outside felt closer now, as if they were watching her. The room was dim, lit only by soft blue lights. Everyone was waiting for the council's final decision. Darren entered, carrying a small tablet. His face was calm, but Mira could see the tension in his eyes. They've called for the judgment, he said. Mira stood slowly. Now? Darren nodded. In 1 hour, Selin and Darrow joined them. The whole team gathered in the round hall, the same place where they had started this journey. The table was empty now, except for one thing, the badge that Mira had received. After the council gave her the seed of unity, she stared at it. The tiny light inside it still glowed soft, steady. I keep thinking, Mira said quietly, maybe we could have done better. Selin placed a hand on her shoulder. No one builds a perfect world, but we built a world that tried. Darrow nodded. And Earth didn't break during the trial. It bent, but it stood. Darren looked at them all. The council does not ask for perfection. They ask for honesty, for growth. That's what we gave. A soft sound filled the air. A gentle hum, followed by a swirl of golden light. The council had arrived. 9 lights appeared, forming a circle above the table. Each light pulsed with a different color. Together, they formed one voice echoing like wind across water. We are the Council of 9. We have watched. We have listened. The team stood silently, respectful. You were given knowledge, a path to create, not control. We watched how you used it. The golden lights shifted, showing moments from the simulation, when Aro built the canal, when the floating science center was created, when Sims helped each other after the storm. Then scenes from Earth appeared, nurses working with Nara's help, students repairing systems, people feeding neighbors. Your systems were tested. Your values were questioned. And still, you reached for each other. Mira looked down, hands shaking slightly. She didn't know what the final answer would be. They had done their best, but was it enough? One of the lights spoke louder than the rest. It pulsed red. There was weakness. One group tried to take control of the Earth's systems. They placed selfish goals above the common good. That is a risk. Another light blue answered double quotes yes, but the others stopped them. Not with war, but with unity. A third light green spoke gently, and your emotional AI did not lead by force. It guided with care. That is rare. The council paused. A longer silence filled the room. No one moved. No one spoke. Finally, the central light turned white and bright. We have made our judgment. The 9 lights joined into one, creating a tall, glowing figure, not human, but not alien either. It had no face, but its presence felt warm, strong, and clear. Earth is accepted into the circle of worlds. Mira's eyes widened. She let out a quiet breath. The room filled with soft gasps of relief. Not because you are powerful. Not because you are perfect, but because you are willing to grow. The light moved toward Mira. You, Mira, were the voice of this proposal. You carried the heart of your people. You believed in empathy, even when others chose fear. Mira's hands trembled as the light touched the badge on the table. It glowed brighter than ever. This badge will now become a key. It opens the gates of shared knowledge, peace travel, and deep exchange. Earth will no longer stand alone. The light faded slowly, returning to the stars. For a moment, no one spoke. Then Darren stepped forward, his voice quiet but firm. We did it. Selen smiled. We're not alone anymore. Darrow laughed softly. For the first time in history, Earth is part of something bigger than itself. Mira sat down, still in shock. I don't know how to feel. You don't have to feel everything at once, Darren said kindly. Just feel one thing at a time. Myra nodded. She looked down at the badge. It didn't feel like a reward. It felt like a door of beginning. Later that evening, Mira walked along the glass hallway of the station. The stars above her head moved slowly as the station rotated. She passed windows that looked down at Earth. Her home. She thought of her little room. Her workshop, the quiet nights fixing broken machines. She thought of Kenzo, who once told her this trip might change her life. He had been right. A voice echoed behind her. It was Darren. Tomorrow we speak to Earth's leaders, he said. They'll need to prepare. The council will start the process soon, Myra nodded. Will they listen? They will, Darren said. Because people follow hope when they see it shine. She looked at him. What happens now? We build together, Darren said. Real worlds, not just simulations. That night, Mira stood at her small desk in her room. She opened her journal and wrote a message for herself. We were tested. Not for our machines, but for our hearts. We were judged not by our speed, but by our kindness. And in the end, we remembered who we are. She closed the journal and looked out the window one more time. Far away, Earth turned slowly in the light. And for the first time, it wasn't just a planet in the stars. It was part of the galaxy. It had been 6 weeks since the council gave their decision. The Earth was now part of the circle of worlds. But for most people on Earth, life was still the same. Mira sat in a small room inside the Orionus space station, looking at the blue planet. Outside her window, below, people walked in cities, worked in farms, played music, argued, loved, and dreamed. They had no idea how close they had come to losing everything, or gaining so much more. She touched the silver badge on her coat. It still glowed softly. It was now a symbol of trust, a key to a new future. A soft knock came at her door. Come in, Mira said. Darren stepped inside. He wore a clean white uniform with a small star symbol on the collar. "We're ready," he said. "Where are we going this time?" Mira asked with a smile. He smiled back. "Down to Earth. There's someone who wants to meet you." The shuttle landed in a quiet green field near a school. Children were playing in the yard. Their laughter floated through the air. Mira stepped out and saw a familiar face waiting. Kenzo. He looked older than before, but his smile was exactly the same. "Mira," he said, his voice full of emotion. She ran to him and hugged him tightly. "You were right," she whispered. "That seat on the wrong side of the plane changed everything." Kenzo laughed. "I didn't know it would lead to the stars. But I always believed in you." They sat on a bench under a tree. Darren watched from a distance, giving them space. Kenzo listened as Mira told him everything about the trial, the council, the simulations, and the final decision. When she finished, he was quiet for a while. Then he said, "So, what happens now?" Mira looked at the sky. "Now we help Earth. Get ready." A week later, a global broadcast was sent from the space station. People all over the world watched their screens as Darren and Mira stood before them. Darren spoke first. "People of Earth, you may not know us, but we know you. And we bring news, great and hopeful news." He explained the council, the trials, and the acceptance into the circle of worlds. Many people were shocked. Some thought it was a story. But slowly, truth spread like morning sunlight. Then Mira spoke. "We have always looked to the stars," she said, "but now the stars look back." She explained that Earth would not be ruled or changed by force. No one would lose their home or their language. Instead, they would be offered knowledge, new science, clean energy, better health, and peaceful cooperation with other worlds. "We are not being saved," she said. "We are being trusted." In the months that followed, Earth began to change. Floating stations appeared over the oceans, providing clean water to places that had none. New schools opened with teachers from many worlds, sharing ideas and values. Old machines were replaced with quiet, powerful ones that didn't harm the planet. But not everything was easy. Some people were afraid. Some leaders did not trust the circle of worlds. They asked questions, demanded limits, wanted control. Mira visited them. She listened with patience. She never forced, never ordered. "We are not here to take power," she told them. "We're here to share it." Over time, more people joined the path. They saw children learning new things, farmers growing food without waste, doctors curing old diseases. They saw neighbors helping one another because they felt connected, like part of something larger. One day, Mira stood before a group of young students. They were sitting on grass under an open sky dome that showed planets in real time. Girl raised her hand. "Miss Myra," she asked, "what does it mean to be human now?" Mira thought for a moment. "To be human," she said, "means to be curious, to care, to fall and rise, to keep learning. Even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard." A boy raised his hand next. "Do you miss the time before all this happened?" Mira smiled gently. "I miss the silence. But I don't miss being alone." Years passed. A new station was built above Earth. It was called Unity Point. From there, Earth worked with other planets on shared missions, exploring galaxies, studying time, protecting life. Mira became the first Earth representative in the Galactic Assembly. But she never let power change her. She still wrote in her journal, still took long walks on Earth, still sat by windows and watched the stars. One morning, she boarded another shuttle, this time with a group of new travelers, young engineers, artists, doctors, and dreamers. They were going to a distant world to help build a peaceful colony. As Mira took her seat, she looked at the number above it, 4C. She smiled. A young girl sat beside her. She looked nervous. "Is this your first time in space?" the girl asked. Mira looked at her and said softly, "Not quite, but every time still feels like the first. The engines hummed. The stars welcomed them again. And Earth small, bright, and blue shone in the distance. No longer alone. No longer just a planet, but a voice in the galaxy, a voice of hope.